Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal Judicial Primary Debates. Here's your host, Victor Jakes.
Hello, I'm Victor Jakes. Welcome to the Las Vegas Review-Journal's Nevada Judicial Debate Series. Today's debate is between the three candidates running for Department 19 in Clark County District Court. Joining me tonight are incumbent Judge Bill Kephart and challengers Crystal Eller and Fikisha Miller. We'll start by giving each candidate 1 minute to make an opening statement. Crystal, we'll start with you.
Thank you. My name is Crystal Eller. As you can see, I have had more than 26 years of both criminal and civil experience as an attorney here in Las Vegas, Clark County, Nevada. I was also the traffic judge, traffic commissioner for the city of Las Vegas for 2.5 years. At which points we saw as many as 150 cases a day. I have extensive judicial experience in that area. I also was a mediator and still am Supreme Court appointed by the foreclosure mediation program here in Nevada. I moved here in 1993. I've been practicing here my entire career, although I am licensed in 2 other states. I graduated from law school cum laude at the top of my class in 2.5 years rather than the traditional 3 years. And I also put myself through college with absolutely no financial assistance from my family, no student loans, and no grants of any kind. I'm very hardworking. I love Clark County, Nevada. I've been here, like I said, for 27 years. I raised my children here, and this is the place I love. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Judge Kephart.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for providing us this opportunity to address the people of Clark County. My name is William Kephart. I am the current sitting district court judge for the 8th Judicial District Court, State of Nevada, County of Clark, Department 19. I want to thank all of you that have supported me in my past campaigns, and I am now asking for your support yet once again in my bid for re-election to the position that I have worked very hard to ensure that those that need the legal system are treated equally and fair. Because experience is essential for a good judiciary, I feel that I'm the best suited for this position, as this is the jury trial courts. I have practiced and presided over 100 trials, including civil and criminal jury trials since 2015. As we all know, judges are elected, and as I choose to seek re-election, I do so because of my love for this county and its residents. I have always been committed to applying the law correctly so that those individuals who have disputes before my court are properly treated. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge Kephart. Fikisha?
Hi, I want to first start off by thanking the Las Vegas Review-Journal for hosting this debate. It's a very critical election. I hope that everybody at home is safe and sound and maintaining the social distance. My name is Fikisha Miller, and I'm your candidate for the Department 19. I am the most qualified candidate in the race. I've been practicing law for 18 years. In that 18 years, I've been a criminal defense attorney, a prosecutor, a judicial commissioner. I've taught at a community college, and I've run my own small firm. Currently, I'm a chief deputy public defender. That means that I handle and am currently assigned to over 100 criminal matters. I've handled everything from minor trespassing violations to murders and homicides, including some of the most dangerous crimes that are involved. As a chief deputy public defender, I am in court 4 times a week, district court usually 3 or 4 times a week. And so I appreciate you paying attention. I hope you learn a lot about the judiciary and what you can expect from a candidate. And at the end, I hope you'll support my campaign. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Fikisha. Crystal, we're going to send the first question your way. In criminal cases, as you know, judges have a lot of discretion in issuing sentences, while acknowledging, of course, that every case is different. When you think about sentencing a convicted criminal, do you think your sentences will tend to be stricter or more lenient compared to your potential peers?
Well, Victor, I would say my sentences are going to definitely tend to be whatever the case calls for. There's always going to be mitigating factors, which is things that sort of bode toward the defendant well, and aggravating factors. So there's going to be a lot of things that we have to consider. We also get a pre-sentencing report from pretrial sentencing. So everything that has to be taken into consideration will be taken into consideration, as well, of course, as the safety of the public and what's necessary to deter the criminal now that he or she's been convicted, and also to protect the public.
Thank you, Crystal. Judge Kephart, you've been on the bench, you've presided over criminal cases. How do your sentences compare to other judges in Clark County?
Well, you know, it depends on, as Ms. Eller has indicated, it depends on every case. And so for it to be placed into a box as to where I fend against other judges in Clark County, I would say there's times where I've been criticized that I've been too strict, and there's times where I've been criticized where I've been too lenient. I'll tell you that this is I spend a great deal of time when it comes to sentencing and before I issue a sentence. There's so many different things that you need to consider. You need to consider the community's interests, the victim's interests, and the defendant's interest. And these are things that I take very serious, and I consider them, I look at them, and I use my experience, the time that I've been doing this for 33 years, to help me gauge and determine what sentence is appropriate. I've been thanked for certain sentences. I've been scorned for certain sentences, and but I fit pretty well in the middle.
Thank you very much, Judge. Fikisha, how do you anticipate you will approach sentencing?
I think that I'll have probably one of the most diverse and nuanced perspectives on sentencing. As I said, with my experience being someone who sat on all three sides of at least the criminal justice process, I have a very nuanced appreciation of not only the crime itself, the danger of it, the likelihood of repetition, but also in crafting creative solutions as a defense attorney for how to make sure the clients don't reoffend so that they stay free. But also the idea of protecting the community. A lot of times I deal with victims of domestic violence and trying to make sure that everybody has appropriate treatment. So I think because of my intense and deep thought in every particular matter, I believe that you will get a fair and impartial sentence. I believe in respecting everyone and treating them absolutely fairly.
Thank you very much, Fikisha. And our judicial primary debates will continue in just a moment.
Alexa, play my flash briefing.
Here's what's new in today's news.
Stay in the loop of the latest information in the Las Vegas Valley with the Las Vegas Review Journal Flash Briefing. Every day, we will provide you with everything you need to know in news, business, weather, entertainment, and sports. Go to the Alexa app and search LVRJ News Briefing. Then say, Alexa, play my flash briefing to hear 3 minutes of the most important information in Las Vegas.
The Vegas Nation podcast is your source for all of your Las Vegas Raiders news. Subscribe and get fast takes and smart coverage. Download the Vegas Nation app and check out vegasnation.com to stay up to date with your Las Vegas Raiders.
You're watching the judicial primary debate for Department 19, part of an ongoing series of debates produced by the Las Vegas Review Journal to inform local voters about these races. Judge Kephart, we'll start with you. In 2017, the Nevada Commission on Judicial Discipline gave you a public reprimand for violating judicial canons and rules. Judges are supposed to administer the law, not break it. Why should voters re-elect you with a blemish like that on your record?
Well, that certainly turned out to be a mistake on my behalf in light of the fact that what had happened is the press, you all, wanted to talk to me about a previous case that I had handled as a prosecutor, and it was filed under a different case number. And so the case that was alive previously, I looked at it, we did our due diligence to determine whether or not it was open, and I saw that it wasn't. But there was another case that came under the same, different case number under the same name though, and so that was where I was disciplined for talking about an open case, and I wasn't, I didn't receive any type of other than a public reprimand, and I take that completely serious, and I apologize for any mistakes that I had made in that, but it certainly wasn't anything intentional, and it was recognized by the Ethics Commission.
Thank you, Judge Kephart. Fikisha, you currently work as a public defender, as you've mentioned. Should the public be worried that if you're elected, you'll bring a soft on crime approach to the bench?
Absolutely not. I believe in personal responsibility, and one of the reasons that I'm running for this race is to make sure that everyone is held as being personally responsible. With regards to why I chose seat 19, I chose the seat to hold Mr. Kephart personally responsible. While he would like to minimize his behavior in the Lovato case, I want the public to know that Mr. Kephart has a long history of discipline, not only as a prosecutor and not only in the Lovato case, but as in personally working to put an innocent man, Fred Steese, in prison for 15 years. Excuse me, 20 years. Ms. Lovato, the case that he was publicly reprimanded for, she served 15 years and has now been released and those charges have been dismissed. I want people to pay attention to this. Me and Ms. Eller agree on this. And if you look at my website, www.itistimeformiller, I have a detailed expose about how wrong and how unethical Mr. Kephart's his legal behavior has been, not just recently, not in 2017, but going all the way back to 2001. Thank you.
Thank you. And Crystal, before I get to you, I do want to give you 30 seconds, Judge Kephart, to respond to that.
Yeah, it's interesting that she brings that up in light of the fact that she wasn't even in law school when I was prosecuting those matters. Yeah, as you see now, things change over the time and over years. I was never found to violated anything with regards to Lovato, never found to violated anything with Steese. And the people need to really understand that, that they talk about an innocent man. You know, it was just a matter of, and her own office is who defended him. And that the fact remains that the defense attorney failed to present certain evidence that may have supported his actual innocence claim. But it's just interesting that she would bring something up before she was even an attorney.
All right, thank you very much, Judge Kephart. Crystal, we'll go to you. On your website, you write that you represented homeowners against, quote, oppressive lenders, unquote. Don't banks and other mortgage providers have a legal right to foreclose when someone stops paying their mortgage? And the second part to that is, if you are elected, should businesses be worried that you won't enforce their legal rights if it makes you look like you're siding with lenders?
So yes, the answer is yes. They absolutely have a right to enforce those promissory notes, those deeds of trust, and everything that was signed when they agreed to loan that money. However, what I fought against was illegal, inappropriate, and fraudulent foreclosures. I had so many clients that were in the middle of a negotiation for a loan modification while the banks didn't know, one hand, didn't know what the other was doing. So they were told by one person, yeah, the loan mod's coming, it's FedEx, it'll be there tomorrow. And I had a client who literally picked up the FedEx envelope off of her porch with the loan modification in it, and they sold her house that morning. So what I'm talking about is illegal foreclosures. And even after the Homeowner Bill of Rights was in place, and they cannot dual track, which is what I just described, and the lenders cannot do some of the fraudulent things they were doing, they still continue to do it. So I understand that they're big and they're large and they're institutions, and a lot of it truly generally was miscommunication, but I'm honored to have fought for that.
All right, thank you very much, Crystal. Judge Kephart, we're gonna come back to you. In the Review Journal's 2019 Judging the Judges survey, only 55% of lawyers recommended retaining you as a judge. Why should voters retain someone with that low of a score?
I don't consider it that low of a score. Considering, first of all, I'm honored to be supported by the bar, the Nevada State Bar and the Clark County Bar, is that, there is a number of individuals that said, no, they wouldn't support me, and a number of individuals said they would. But when you consider yourself to be equal, I would expect it a score of around 50% would be the proper score. And so I take what they say in the statements that they make, both positive and negative, as criticism that would help me build myself and help me run my court to better my position in the courtroom, and to help the attorneys to understand what is truly happening in the courtrooms, and not just make objections. But I consider it an important tool, and I look at it and I consider it wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much, Judge Kephart. Fikisha, what would you consider the minimum acceptable retention score in the Review Journal's Judging the Judges survey for a judge seeking re-election? And before you answer, I want to note that it could one day be you that the lawyers are evaluating.
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you, the most acceptable score was the score of Judge Williams, who received the 90% favorability rating. I understand that lawyers are going to have conflicts with judges. They're not going to agree with them all the time. But let's be absolutely clear about the facts. The facts are that 55% is a failing grade. And so Judge Kephart received a failing grade. And with regards to supporters, I actually do my research. I reviewed his contributions and expenses report, and the person who supported 20% of his campaign is actually Miss Eller's ex-husband. So with regards to his support in the community, if you look at the financial support, which I don't believe that's the qualification of a judge, I think that it's wanting. When I was a judicial commissioner, I was unanimously selected by all the judges that I appeared before for over a period of 10 years, and they selected me. I believe that the people of Clark County, if they review my record, if they talk to other lawyers, if they talk to the judges that I've appeared in front of, even if they talk to the prosecutors, they will find that I have an acceptable.
I want to ask you if you're willing to give a number that you consider acceptable.
Yes, I would consider 80% acceptable, and I believe I would go well beyond that. I believe that I have that kind of reputation in this community, and I would be that fair as a judge. Absolutely.
Thank you. Crystal, I want to ask you the same question. What score do you think is the minimal acceptable score before a judge seeks retention?
Because you used the word minimal, I would go down to 75%. I mean, honestly, if we're looking at grade-wise, that's a good solid C. And also, I agree, 55% is unacceptable. And you don't just look at the percentages. If you look at how many judges there were that were considered, I believe there were 29 judges. Judge Kephart came in 4th to the last. So out of 29, he was the 4th most unpopular judge rated by the attorneys. And these are the people that are there in front of him every day. So I think the voting public needs to think about that.
Thank you. I'm going to end this segment. Judge Kephart, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to respond.
Well, it's interesting that we have a number when they talk about looking at the numbers. There's a very limited number of individuals that actually appear in front of me. And what's interesting is that as a prosecutor, when I was involved with this as well, is that there was a number of individuals that would work just to get judges off the bench, and that they would vote and never even appear before them. I was surprised the number of individuals that claim that they've appeared before me, as it's extremely higher than what's actually true. And when we consider the
thank you, Judge. I'm sorry, Judge. We're gonna have to leave it there. We're gonna have to go to commercial. I encourage you to stay tuned. This debate will continue right after these messages. Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. You're watching the judicial primary debate for Department 19. Fikisha, we're going to start with you. What, if anything, most needs to change in the judicial system?
Well, of course, I'm going to say Judge Kephart. I have devoted the last 18 months of my life running this campaign, organizing my supporters in order to take him off the bench. I cannot explain this more clearly. I think in the last segment, Mr. Kephart mentioned that the number of people who wrote in the responses didn't even appear before him, and I understand why he wouldn't remember that. I've actually made several appearances in his court where he referred to me as the court interpreter instead of the licensed attorney that I am. I cannot underscore the importance of removing Mr. Kephart from the bench. And since I only have a limited time, I want to tell you one story, and then I'll put it up on my campaign page so you can watch it for yourself. Mr. Kephart routinely treats people in his court with disrespect. I'm going to give you the case of Miss Kate, where Mr. Kephart threatened a 7-month pregnant woman with a felony unless she got married. And then once she got married and provided proof to the court, he sentenced her to the felony anyway. That is the record. I have the jabs, and I will produce them on my site. He is what needs to go. It's time for a change in Department 19.
Thank you very much, Fikisha. Crystal, what would you like to change in the judicial system?
I have to agree with Fikisha just for a moment that Mr. Kephart, or Judge Kephart, I'm sorry, doesn't have the temperament to be a judge. And I think the Las Vegas Review-Journal judging the judges speaks for that, as well as all of the trouble he's been in with the Supreme Court and all the cases he's had as a prosecutor that have been overturned. But in addition to just Department 19, I believe that we need to continue to expand our diversionary courts. I think we need to look at not just punishment for criminals, but what we can do, once somebody's convicted, about diverting them maybe away from prisons and into other programs, because ultimately what's going to keep the public safe is if they have people that commit crimes that don't commit crimes again. And if we can work with them through diversionary programs so that they do not recidivate, then that's going to be the best thing, not only for the criminals who are human beings and who have paid their debt to society, but also to the citizens of Clark County.
Right. Thank you, Crystal. Appreciate it. Judge Kephart, I'm going to give you a minute to respond to that question of something you'd like to see change in the judicial system, or something that some change you've brought about in the judicial system, as well as respond to anything that you'd like to.
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting that both these ladies that have absolutely no experience in the judiciary have the opinions that they have. They would also understand by doing their research that I have the second best reversal rate on the bench in the state of Nevada in all the felony cases and civil cases that I've handled since 2015. And there's only one other judge, and it's in Clark County, that's got a better reversal rate than me. And so as a judge, I feel like I've been doing a pretty doggone good job. I helped create the Veterans Court and Justice Court. I agree that the diversionary programs need to be added to, and I work towards that every day amongst my colleagues on the bench. I have no idea what Fikisha's talking about with me calling her a interpreter. She must not have made herself known that she is an attorney appropriately before me. But so.
All right, thank you very much, Judge Kephart, and we'll be back with closing statements in just a moment.
For all your Raiders news, like us on Facebook, download the Vegas Nation app, and go to vegasnation.com.
All your listeners and followers, the best name of any podcast in the world is podcast.
Nobody's ever done it. Nobody's ever faked
Not that we know of.
No.
When you work with Prince, you got to get used to the fact that he changes musicians like underwear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, he's a quarterback in the Boston area.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. You're watching the final segment of the judicial primary debate for Department 19. We're on to closing statements. Fikisha, 30 seconds.
My name is Fikisha Miller, and I'm your choice for Department 19. I have the most diverse experience. Unlike Judge Kephart, I've never been charged with any unethical behavior, and I've never been reprimanded for any conduct. Unlike Ms. Eller, I've actually conducted jury trials, and jury trials are the #1 job of the district court. She's admitted she's never had a jury trial to verdict. Please learn more about me, Fikisha Miller, at www.itistimeformiller.com. Please be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fikisha. Judge Kephart, 30 seconds.
Thank you. I want to thank Victor and the Review Journal for hosting these debates. I do believe that they are important and informative for our voters. Once again, I am seeking re-election for and asking yet again for the support and vote from all the good people of Clark County. Thank you. And as the election requires mail-in ballots, don't forget to sign your mail-in ballots before you return them. Remember, William Bill Kephart for Department 19. Thank you and stay safe.
Thank you very much, Judge Kephart. Crystal, 30 seconds.
Hi, thank you. I did want to try to quickly answer the rest of that question that you asked me. No, businesses do not need to be concerned about me being on the bench. I've owned my own business, and with my ex-husband, we own 12 restaurants. And I've had my own law firm for over 15 years. I understand what it's like to be in business and that you have to be able to enforce your contracts. That's not what fighting the banks was about. And also, by the way, I do have judicial experience, as I mentioned. Yes, it was traffic court, but it was still judicial experience, and it was a lot of cases, and it was a lot of work, and we did a lot of good.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Crystal. And thank you for watching this edition of Nevada Judicial Debates. We'll see you next time.